Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer stated that sarcasm is the last defense of the weak, a refuge for those who lack the courage to express their hostility directly. In this way, they conceal contempt behind a smile, making the victim themselves question their own perception. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone made a seemingly harmless joke, yet it left a bitter aftertaste? Have you heard humor mask a comment that, instead of making you laugh, made you feel diminished? Sarcasm is a powerful tool in skilled hands. It can be a witty form of humor, comic relief. But, when used maliciously, it becomes a subtle weapon, a form of aggression hiding behind the justification of laughter. Carl Jung noted that the shadow, the repressed part of the personality, often manifests involuntarily. When someone harbors negative feelings towards you, but is unwilling or unable to express them openly, sarcasm becomes the perfect disguise. It's a blow delivered with a smile, an attack camouflaged as a joke. Think of the acquaintance who constantly jokes about your weaknesses, invariably using a casual tone. Or the coworker who mocks your ideas but always with a smile. Or the family member who ridicules your dreams, ending with, "I'm just joking, don't take it seriously." The crucial question: if it's just a joke, why do you feel bad? This kind of sarcasm isn't mere humor. It carries a hidden intention, serving as a defense mechanism for a person who, consciously or unconsciously, feels envy, resentment, or even contempt. Instead of expressing these feelings directly, the person discharges them onto you in a veiled way, testing the boundaries of what can be said under the guise of non-hostility. There's something even more sinister in this behavior. When you react, show discomfort, or question the comment, the response always involves manipulation. You're told, "You're exaggerating, you can't take a joke. Wow, you're sensitive today." The game is played to disarm you, to make you feel guilty for recognizing the hidden aggression. But don't be mistaken. Repeated behavior of this kind erodes your confidence and gradually makes you doubt your own feelings. How to distinguish an innocuous comment from poisonous sarcasm? The key lies in repetition and intent. If someone jokes about a specific aspect of your personality or life, even after recognizing your discomfort, this is not innocence. It's a calculated form of contempt. There's another important detail. The person making such comments rarely behaves this way with everyone. It's selective behavior. With some people, the same individual may be respectful and careful with words, but with you, they always find a way to weave irony into the conversation. This is not a coincidence. It's a sign. Persistent sarcasm not only reveals hidden feelings, but also establishes a power dynamic. It places the user of irony in a higher position, making the other feel diminished, often without even realizing it. So next time a sarcastic comment bothers you, ask yourself, would this person allow themselves such a joke directed at someone they respect? If the answer is no, you already have clarity. And if sarcasm can be a way of expressing masked contempt, there exists an even more insidious form in which quiet hatred manifests. It doesn't always occur in words. Sometimes it manifests in what is left unsaid, in the small details that go unnoticed, but when added up, reveal hidden intent. This is precisely what we are going to discuss now. Have you ever felt that just as you try to move forward, small, unexpected obstacles seem to arise in your path? Situations that at first glance appear to be random coincidences or simple distractions, but upon closer analysis reveal a pattern? Sometimes hatred and resentment manifest not through aggressive words or direct conflict. Instead, they hide in subtle acts of sabotage, minor slip-ups, strategic omissions, convenient delays. Behavior that seems insignificant in isolation but, when repeated, begins to undermine your confidence and progress. Carl Jung explained that the shadow, the repressed part of the psyche, often acts without the person's own awareness. This means someone can sabotage you without admitting their actions even to themselves. But actions always speak louder than intentions. Think of the acquaintance who forgets to give you important information, the colleague who unintentionally discloses something that could harm your reputation, the family member who claims to support your dreams, but always finds a way to discourage you, sowing doubts about your choice. These people never take responsibility for the consequences of their actions. On the contrary, when cornered, they always have a perfect explanation. It was just carelessness. I didn't know it was important. I thought you already knew. But how many times must something happen before it stops being a coincidence? Silent sabotage is dangerous because it undermines confidence from within. Unlike a direct attack, which is visible and can be confronted, these small acts of subversion seep unnoticed into your life. You start questioning yourself. Did the person really forget? Was it an innocent mistake? Or is there something more behind the scenes? Jung said that when a person doesn't confront their own shortcomings, they project this disappointment onto others. Instead of striving for self-improvement, they prefer to hinder your advancement because your growth becomes a mirror of their own failures. This sabotage can be present on a social level, in your own home, a partner who belittles your achievements, a relative who always finds a way to demoralize you, a friend who, instead of encouragement, only emphasizes the risks and difficulties. The question remains, who around you seems to cheer for you but is never there when you truly need help? Recognizing this pattern is the first step to self-protection. A simple test to identify such people is to observe the frequency of slip-ups. One mistake might be chance, two, a coincidence. But when these events become a system, the problem isn't a conspiracy of the universe against you, but the silent presence of someone who prefers to see you standing still rather than moving. There's a clear difference between inspiration that propels us forward and quiet competition that pulls us into a game we never asked to play. Some people simply cannot see others' success without feeling the need to surpass them. Have you noticed that upon sharing an achievement, some react strangely, indifferently, or worse, immediately shift the conversation to their own successes? Whenever you mention something positive, such a person has a more impressive story, a greater achievement distorting yours. This is unhealthy competition, masking insecurity. Carl Jung explained that many people project onto others what they cannot develop in themselves. When someone feels incapable of genuine growth, the simplest solution is to ignore the growth of others. Instead of being inspired, they maintain some sense of superiority. The point is this: someone truly confident in their own journey doesn't need comparisons. This silent rivalry manifests in various ways. The friend who never celebrates your victories but rushes to share their own. The colleague who disputes your ideas only to later present the same concept as original. The person who uses story of personal triumph. At the core of such behavior lies a hidden sense of inadequacy. For this person, seeing you shine is an uncomfortable reminder of their own unrealized potential. Your victory is a mirror reflecting their shortcomings. But what about when this competition hides behind words of support? With false support, the person pretends to cheer you on but inwardly doesn't want you to go too far. They encourage you, but always with a tone of doubt, invariably mentioning risks, problems, difficulties. The subtlest form of this rivalry is what I call false fans and their poisonous compliments. Wow, what a surprise you pulled it off! or congratulations, I never doubted you. Words sound like encouragement, but carry an undertone of disbelief or surprise. The ultimate test for identifying this dynamic is simple. Observe how the person reacts when you are going through a tough time. Someone who genuinely cares for you will support you in both joy and sorrow. But if someone demonstrates poorly concealed relief at your failure, it speaks volumes about their true feelings towards you. Those who truly cherish you wish for your growth. Those who harbor resentment rejoice in your stagnation. There are people who will never say a word against you. They will never be there when you need them most. They don't sabotage you directly. They don't confront you openly. They don't engage in declared competition. But when the time comes to offer real support, they simply aren't there. As the saying goes, evil often hides in silence. Carl Jung asserted that what we deny in ourselves eventually manifests in our relationships. Some people are unable to cope with their own disappointment and thus emotionally detach from others. They become incapable of sincerely rejoicing in others' successes and simultaneously avoid showing empathy in difficult times. Have you noticed that some who swear their support vanish when you need them most? That they never display genuine enthusiasm for your achievements, limiting themselves to a forced smile, a cold glance, or a vague comment? Superficial support is insidious because it doesn't present itself as hostility. On the contrary, those who act this way often mask themselves as allies. They say the right words, but without soul, without presence, without genuine intention. This is the friend who never gives useful advice when asked. The family member who professes care, but never makes an effort to be present at crucial times. The colleague who praises your successes to your face, but never mentions you when an opportunity arises to recommend you. The crucial detail: these people always have an excuse. They couldn't attend because they were too busy. They didn't comment on your victory because they didn't see the post or forgot to reply. But when the pattern repeats, it becomes clear. It's not a lack of time, but an absence of interest. True support isn't just in words, but in actions. Someone who genuinely rejoices for you resonates with you unconditionally. Someone who truly cares doesn't disappear in tough times. Words can lie, but the body never does. What a person truly feels always manifests itself, even subtly. Perhaps in a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, in a handshake lacking firmness, or in a silence that shouts louder than any words. Carl Jung noted that the unconscious finds ways to express itself. This means that even when someone tries to conceal their true feelings, their body will always give signals. Have you ever felt inexplicable discomfort around someone? Noticed a sudden change in a person's expression when you share good news? Small details, insignificant in isolation, gradually paint a pattern. Human body doesn't know how to lie. Someone subject to envy, resentment, or even silent hatred betrays these feelings through involuntary gestures. Here are some indicators. The gaze. When you talk about something important, the person avoids eye contact or quickly looks away as if uncomfortable. The smile. A huge difference exists between a genuine and a mechanical smile. The first comes naturally. The second is forced. Lifeless voice. A compliment might sound hollow, devoid of emotion, as if the words come from the mouth, but not from the heart. Body tension. When uncomfortable in your presence, their body tenses up. Arms cross, an unconscious block. Posture becomes withdrawn. Gestures less fluid. These signs are especially obvious in situations that evoke intense feelings. Try observing someone's reaction when you share an achievement. Does the person demonstrate genuine enthusiasm or just mutter cool while swiftly changing the subject? Jung said, The unconscious communicates through symbols and gestures. When you're congratulated but eye contact is avoided, when someone says they are happy for you but their body shows tension. This disconnect reveals an inner conflict. Human intuition can capture these signals even before we can explain them rationally. But we often ignore this instinct, rationalizing behavior we've already subconsciously recognized. How do you feel around this person? Is there a slight tension in the air? Does the energy seem displaced? Do small details start making sense? The body speaks of what the mind tries to hide. Now that you know these signs, is it time to reflect? Have you observed any of these traits in those around you? The most important thing is to understand. You don't need to live with people who are harmful to you. Pay attention, trust your intuition, and protect yourself from negative energies.